Welcome to the class controller.
Again, we should not have a intro. It's just a podcast, so it's talking. Why do we have an intro?
It's fine, whatever. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about Mario 64. It's a good game. Podcast over.
Okay, this is his first time ever public speaking into a computer. This is apparently a struggle for him.
It's new. No, but we're talking about Mario 64.
We're talking about our opinions about Mario 64. There's not going to be tons of information. There might be some information. There's not going to be tons of it, though. It's gonna be
this game came out in 1999, September.
1998.
98. What did I say?
Whatever, it doesn't matter. But we're going to basically talk about our first experiences with the game and stuff like that. So,
yeah. So, I first played it on the Wii when... like 2008, 2009? Well, no, 2010 probably. And it's a fun game. I never knew any like the BLNs or whatever, the cheats or whatever, the backwards long jump. BLJ. I'm an idiot. That's what that stands for.
Grayson. Okay. As you're talking, you're stuttering and you're deep breath. It's the first episode. It doesn't have perfect qualities. Just think about what you're gonna say and say it. And why is it such a fun game?
It's a fun game because it's a game. You know, you've played it. You tell me.
Great. Okay, so I originally got introduced to Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. I had it available at a family's house, so I played it. I played it for the first time not knowing how to hold the controller because it was that disgusting three-pronged abomination.
Why would they think that's a good idea? You know, you got two for your two hands, and then you got one.
No, I think the idea was that it was supposed to be for both 2D and 3D.
3D, yeah.
Because you have the analog stick and then you have the D-pad.
Was there even ever a 2D game? Like any platform or anything? I don't think they had any retro games.
I don't think the D-pads were even used for much. I think they were used. I know they were used a bunch in like Smash Bros and stuff like that as other moves, but they never actually. Whatever. I first started playing that. I had no idea what I was doing, and I had no clue what to do. But the funniest thing is, my cousins had a save file that had all 120 stars, and me, Baby Campbell, decided to. Oh, hey, delete button.
No way,
and I
really?
deleted it. Yeah, I did.
Oh my god.
That was a fun afternoon.
That was.
Anyways,
sister, she got my Switch, okay. And she went on to Breath of the Wild, okay? She went on it and deleted my sci-fi. That's when I finished the game. And luckily, you know when you can do like the load save or whatever?
Yeah.
Luckily, there was one right before that and one when she didn't do it, so I could go back.
You're lucky.
But I was so mad at her.
You're lucky. Oh yeah, I've had a couple of games like that. I did that with Simpsons Hit and Run too. Anyways, but I remember when I hopped in, it was when I first hopped in. I didn't even know how to go. I didn't even know you're supposed to go through paintings. I just thought there were paintings.
Very pretty. Next.
Yeah, I mainly just explored outside the castle. I never actually went in the castle. But then I eventually stopped playing it because we had other games on the 64, like Donkey Kong Country 64 and Smash Bros.
They really like that 64 number.
Yeah. Nintendo has a habit about naming their games after the console they're on.
Yeah, Wii Sports.
64, Super Mario Kart. You know, it's normal. Wii Sports. But I eventually played it again when 3D All-Stars came out, and I started to play it again for a real time. I haven't finished it, but I'm working on it.
I played it, never finished it. I did get close though. It's really fun. I did play it on 3D All-Stars. That I found was a little weird just because it's all like fixed up and new textures and stuff. Yeah. And then I've been playing Sunshine a lot though on the Switch. That's really fun. Although,
but this is a Super Mario 64 podcast.
Yes. Anyway, 64. It's good. Although I feel like with some things like on the Switch one, though I really don't like that they didn't full screen it. They could have. It's literally just like a picture and they just whoop, make it bigger, fit the screen.
Wait, it's actually is full screen, isn't it?
No, it has the black bars on the side. Have you?
I've played it. Wait.
You haven't noticed it?
On the Wii?
No, on the Switch.
I never noticed it.
Really?
Well, I'm sure I've noticed it, but I just didn't pay attention to it.
Oh, well, it's kind of like a, oh, that's kind of weird thing, but, yeah, I don't know.
I got I got used to it. I didn't even know it was there. Yeah, when I hopped into it, the reason why I found it so fun was because prior to that point, I really didn't play too much video games. I played the occasional video game every now and again, but then when I played that one, I stepped into the world of Mario, which I had heard of Mario for a while, but I never really was able to play a 3D game. I watched my cousins play games, Super Mario games and stuff like that, but I never truly played never truly played a 3D game myself. So that was pretty fun to play that, and then it was just fun to explore and stuff like that, because I didn't know how to go into the pictures. But then when I got older and I played 3D All Stars, I eventually started to I had a love-hate relationship with it. You learn to love it and you learn to hate it. You learn to love the control scheme and you learn to hate the control scheme. You learn to love the story, but then you learn to hate the plot line. You know, it's a very love-hate relationship with that game. You have those with a bunch of games. Like, sometimes you hop into a game and you love the game, but you hate the cutscenes, or you love the cutscenes but you hate the gameplay. Sometimes you have those kind of games like that.
Yeah, with I actually played Mario 64 DS, and that is a not completely different experience,
Yeah,
but
I've
it's a
played that
completely
one.
different experience as well.
I have that one. I've played that. That one, yeah, it's a lot different because there's actually a sprint button.
Yeah, I
It was
like that
pain.
a lot.
I don't like that.
I do. I like having the control, being able to slow down and stuff. But
Yeah, but then you always have to press the sprint button to go anywhere because the walk is the speed of a tortoise.
well, funny enough, because you're playing as Yoshi, but with that game, you get to play as Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Yoshi, which is really
Isn't the majority
interesting.
Yoshi though.
No, you play the first bit, like the first couple levels. Not paintings, like stars. But like it's so weird because when the first one came out, it was just Mario, and then people were like, "Oh, well, L is real 277 or something like that," and that was
L is real 277.
yeah, something like that. It was.
If you also notice back in the original game, Yoshi, when you eventually did see Yoshi, it was like a full blown dinosaur. Like it didn't have. I mean, it had boots, but it was a dinosaur. Like it was like it was comparative to Mario. It wasn't the size of Mario.
Yeah, which is weird because usually.
And then you go play DS, and it is because DS came after the GameCube.
Yeah, and they could make it the models.
The DS came before the GameCube, but they had. No wait. No, GameCube and GameCube and DS. DS came after, DS came after the GameCube. So, they would have had the newer designs of Yoshi, which evolved from the GameCube, Game Boy era, Game Boy Advanced era. They would have had them from there, and that's why it would look so different between the two different titles.
Yeah, but my first experience was on the Wii, but I feel like my favorite was definitely the DS one. I have so many good memories of that. I watched Chuka Conroy play it. He's a really good YouTuber. He does a lot of RPGs, and then he does the odd time he plays like Mario games. But I loved watching him while playing it. It's really cool. If I were you, if you have a Switch, I would definitely recommend picking up Super Mario 3D All Stars before it's gone.
Not only is it Super Mario 64 that's a good game.
All
3D
of them
All Stars is just filled with the All Stars of the 3D genre of Mario. That would be Galaxy Sunshine, which we probably will make videos on later. Though all those games are phenomenal Mario titles. They're the staple for 3D platformers.
Except they forgot to get Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah. Well, Mario Galaxy 2, wasn't Mario Galaxy 2 just a reskin of Mario Galaxy 1?
No, what it was is Mario Galaxy 2 was going to be actually a expansion of Mario Galaxy 1. It was just going to be more levels. But then they've had so much in it that they just decided to make it a second sequel.
I suppose. I never heard that before. So what next are we going to talk about? Any questions, Mason?
Actually, in Super Mario 64, there was recently, there was a conspiracy theory called, every copy of Mario 64 is personalized, right? And what this was is that it was this new AI technology that they would be putting into it, that it would make every game, every copy of Mario 64 personalized, so it would be all the same, so, or all different. And so you can find pictures online of mods that you can put into Mario 64. And it's a really cool creepypasta, because in it they talk about how this one copy of the game, when they were testing it, people went insane in this one maze part. It was really crazy, and people, since I don't know how long ago this was, but it's because people, since it's a conspiracy theory, it was kind of like, is this true or is this not? Since I said it was a test game, right? It was in development, that you can't get your hand on it, right? And so that's one of them. There's other ones where it was the Wario apparition. And the Wario apparition was it's a head of Wario, okay? And you would get to this one part in the game, and he would chase you, right? And you would run, and you would run, and you would run, and then he would catch you, and your game would crash. And this is where the conspiracy theory gets a little like, okay, that's not true. But the part was after you would have like stroke-like symptoms, and so that's a little weird. But it's kind of cool to watch those like creepypastas. At least in my opinion, I really like watching them.
And the data miners and modders and hackers. I want to go back to the. I want to go back and put ourselves in the mindset of a kid who it was 1998 or when I think it was 98, wasn't it?
Yeah, 98.
98. You're a kid on 98. The 64 just launched, mind you. The Mario 64 was one of the staple launch titles. It was that or Pilot Wings, or if you were in Japan, I think you got a chess game. So your options were Pilot Wings or Mario 64, because nobody likes chess. Imagine you're that kid. What would you be thinking when your mom picked you up the $100, $150, $100 Nintendo 64? I don't remember how much it was, and you got Mario 64 and you booted it up? How would you think you'd feel?
Oh, well, if I was that age and I knew about it, because the internet wasn't. It was a thing. But it was a dial-up, and it was it wasn't even dial-up. I don't even think it was publicly used. No, it was. It was just very. It was not as accessible as it is now. So you get your Nintendo 64, right? I open it up. I would be feeling, if I knew about it, I would be like, oh, this is so awesome, I'm gonna play it, right? Because, like, imagine now, in current day, you get, for example, Spider-Man Miles Morales, you get a PS5.
New game, brand new console, came out in November. You get it for Christmas, and it's like you do have a brand new toy, but it's like it's opened up an entire world of possibilities for you. Yeah. But imagine that back in the day when they went from 2D style games on the Super Nintendo, and then they get a new dimension within the next one, like. You'd be blown away.
Yeah.
And that's something that you take for granted nowadays, because every year, the character's movements might line up better with motion capture or whatever, but you don't get another dimension unless you count virtual reality.
Yeah, virtual reality is the next step.
Is like the next step, because gaming has come so far that back then, it's come so far that virtual reality, putting yourself in the game, has always been the dream, the mindset of developers. The players would always have to use their imagination to do it. But with VR, you're already in the game. You're in the universe. But back in the day, when you'd pick up a Nintendo 64 and you had that whole new dimension, and you saw that control stick, you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the D-pad. But if Super Mario 64, I think is a linchpin within Mario's history. That is a game that set the staple not only for Nintendo, but for other companies to create
3D platformers.
Thank you. Like, even if you look at Super Mario 64 and you take, I don't know, give me a 3D platformer here.
I don't know. I don't really know many. Well,
all right. Let's say Gex 3. You take Super Mario 64 and then you got Gex 3. Gex 3 is a 3D platformer, and to 3D platformer, and even you can tell the difference between the two. Gex 3 was on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, the Sony PlayStation, and the majority of people would play it with the original classic controller, which just had a D-pad. But then eventually they released the DualShock controller, which had the two analog sticks, and Gex's gameplay was immediately raised. Like, the bar was raised because you had so much more free movement with the analog stick. But Mario 64 was able to put that mindset into developers to use the control sticks and analog sticks for better use of the controller's UI, and Super Mario 64, not only raised the bar for Nintendo standards for 3D platformers, but every other developer standards. Or they should have. Some games still didn't get that, like Bubsy for PlayStation 1. That was a piece of crap. But we live on because of Super Mario 64.
We live on in this dark time. No, but Mario 64, like, I don't think there has been... There's probably been a game that's overpassed it somehow, but that will be the classic. That will be the one that we look back on and think, that was the one that made 3D gaming what it is today.
Oh my god. That game, so think about it. That game, if you look at, in that game you had, I think you could take 8 hits before you died, correct?
Yeah.
8 hits. And you had like that little circle with your little pies.
Yeah.
If you look at that, and then you look at other 3D platformers today, like Odyssey, you still have those 64, you still have that Mario 64 flair to it. The health is the same. The health is practically the same. The button movements are basically the same. And Odyssey, in my opinion, is the true successor to 64, because it not only is it control-wise similar, but it also has the exact same castle and the exact same castle as the Mushroom Kingdom.
Like the outside.
Yeah, the outside.
But
the inside, because
it's kind of...
Yeah, it's a lot different. And then he even has the 64 suit. In my opinion, 64 not only influenced newer Mario games to come, but it inspired and gathered a lot of people around video games. In my opinion, the 64 era, I mean, the NES and SNES, they had followers, but in my opinion, the 64 era, so that's like PlayStation 1, Xbox, and 64, that, in my opinion, is where all of gaming steam started to pick up.
Yeah. Because, like, nowadays, yeah, you get these, like, huge, like, 3D games, right? But there's something, it almost feels like there's something missing. There's no no very special feeling to it. Like the 64, you pick it up, you play it, you're like, this is Mario 64. You feel that feeling of...
This is Mario, period.
Yeah, this
is Mario.
But with games, for example, like, you can play, I don't know, for The Show, something like that, right? That's not a 3D platformer, but to give as an example.
That's an MLB sport game.
But it's like, you pick up and you play that game, you're like, oh, this is baseball.
Baseball.
There's not.
When you look, okay, so you can't really. You can compare it, but there's a lot of different. We'll probably get into this in another episode, but there's a lot of different game types: RPGs, platformers, sport games, and interactive stories. So like an interactive story would be The Last of Us, and a sport game, The Show, would be one of them. But then 3D platformers is Mario, RPGs, Final Fantasy. But when you're talking about The Show, yeah, this is baseball. But here's the thing. In my opinion, I don't see the appeal in sports games because it's the same game every year in reality.
Yeah,
it's the same game, same controls. Sometimes there might be different players, some UI change, but it's the same game. But then when you go back, all the way back to 1998, you get that 64. It's an entirely new dimension.
Yeah.
Mario was revolutionized. It's a phenomenal game. And back to what I was talking about with Odyssey. Even the next game in chronological order that is really a true 3D platformer after 64, which is Sunshine, you can tell also has the same basic concept as 64, and so does Galaxy and Galaxy 2. They're all the same for the 3D platformer, because 64 not only did it succeed as a 3D platformer, but it succeeded as one of the best Mario games, in my opinion, of all time. And it's one of them. and the fan service that it got from the fans also definitely told Nintendo, this is good, keep it up, thumbs up, let's go. Next game, let's see it. Let's go. But that it's just such a good game. If you do have a Switch, or if you happen to see it in antique store or whatever, antique gaming store, older gaming, they exist. And you see 64 with a 64 console, you just pick it up. It's so, even if it's the 64 version, just pick it up. It is such a good game. Mm-hmm. It is so worth your time. It is, even if you've played it before, I strongly urge you to play it again, but this time with a different mindset. So if you were just rushing through it, go back, take your time, look at it from a different angle. Maybe try to do a different thing, speed run it, do something.
And maybe try to have a TV that supports that.
Yeah, especially if you're using the older version.
Yeah, but
maybe have one with an AC out. But
yeah, yeah. So thank you for coming and watching Classic Controllers. We'll be trying to do this every once or twice a week. Well, or I mean, we will try to do one per week.
Yeah.
We no promises because we won't be able to make a podcast every week, but we'll try to do as many as we can when we can. But thank you. And we will talk.
Wait. So, here's the thing, guys. Again, we're not going to be able to upload all the time, but be sure to be on the lookout and show as much support as you guys can, because that really shows me and my colleague Mason that you guys really enjoy what we're doing, and because we enjoy what we're doing right now.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Yeah. But anyways, I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys maybe had a few laughs along the way. I know we weren't really joking around, but this is, even in Mason's videos, you can tell that we try to be funny, but sometimes we just...
Yeah, this is more of just like talking, and I feel like this is a lot better. For me, at least, in my opinion, I find this a lot easier to making
so much
videos.
More easier than videos.
Yeah, just because you're talking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take so much storage because of video, but it's audio, so we will try to do one a week, possibly. Okay, we're gonna, I think this week, next week, and maybe the next week after that, we will have videos.
We will have videos.
But after that we might, I don't know, we're gonna try to see if we can do this online. We have done COVID protection stuff. We're fine. We've done all that.
6 feet apart masks. We got it all.
Yeah. We'll hope that you'll come back and listen to us again. Anyway, yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.